Tuesday, February 14th, that's Valentine's Day. My true love, Chris Curtis, is here.
Ken Laird, how are you, my friend?
It's the real K&C. You and I had a little BC on Northeastern crime in the hallway before we just came in here. My Huskies took out the Eagles in the Beanpot consolation, so it was pretty feisty out there, I must say.
Well, they've been blaming you for sort of being out of sorts because of Maya. Little do they know that last night, you and I were out hammered at the Beanpot for about 6 hours.
You, me, Brick,
Oh,
Jack.
man. And Dale actually flew in just for the game before going back to Rome, which was nice of him.
Stuffed your puck, and you guys were on for the night. It was nice. It was a
great
family affair.
It was a great time. The Huskies, prevailed, but it was we'll come back next year. I find it, the last 2 weeks I'd go Beanpot consolation, Isaiah Thomas's run, Super Bowl 51.
Classy, cultured, and client-friendly. That's really the 3 C's that we adhered to last night. That's what I'm most proud of, that we were out, composed, and conducted ourselves appropriately. Today on the show, we had a 3-bagger today. We had Pete Sheppard join Kirk and Mut as the Jerry vacation week continues. What did you think of Pete's performance? Did we get a 9.2, Pete, today, or was it somewhere
I wouldn't go
9.2,
but I also wouldn't go 2.9. I would go an even 5. I don't think he added anything. I don't think he subtracted anything.
I don't think he added anything.
I think it was a net neutral.
Net neutral, okay. He was on the ice for a goal. He was on the ice.
Right. He allowed a goal. He scored a goal.
Yeah.
I thought the Ziegler interview was good. I thought it was a little forced with the rant.
God, did he tear into John Ziegler out of nowhere?
And you have to know with Ziegler, I don't think he listened to Kirk's podcast with Ziegler before the show. Would you agree?
That Sheppard hadn't listened to it.
Yes.
Maybe not. I think perhaps if we've talked to Ziegler so many times, Kirk said this in the back room, we've moved past the whole Sandusky trial and everything. Maybe Pete hasn't heard him on with us maybe he heard him once instead of. He's been on with us how many times? 4 or 5 times?
I would say so.
Going back to the DNC days. So,
I guess the way I viewed it as a listener, and that could be clouding my judgment, is I kind of wanted to move it forward to now. I thought he was giving us enough from this Jeffrey Sandusky case to pull him apart and just eviscerate him.
And then he gave us the gem of the Deflategate analogy, which went nowhere.
I mean, I didn't do great on my SATs, but analogies I was okay at. That one made 0 sense.
Sandusky's son's arrest comes 5 years after his adoptive dad, Jerry Sandusky, was convicted of raping boys. Yep. John Ziegler joins us.
Couldn't be less relevant. Here's your logic you're using.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom Brady adopts a son, and at some time in the future, he texts his baseball coach asking about scuffing up baseballs. Somehow that means
That is honestly the worst analogy I've ever heard in my life.
Absolutely none. So anyway, there was enough to get into. I thought we got a little sidetracked with Pete. Some of the listeners seemed to like it. I thought it was a little bit in the way, but that's
he forced some Bruins talk on us at 7, which I liked. So I would give him a stick tap for that. And, here's the thing about Pete. Having him in allows us to play drops, from my point of view, just to goof on him, that add a little bit to the show, where it's not necessarily you're relying on Pete for hot takes or political opinions. It's just, we came back with he and Jimmy Murphy doing some New Hampshire. God, I don't even know what they were talking about, but it was just, just little scene
hamstring
setters.
Injuries in celebrity softball games.
Yeah,
that was the
exactly. Him and the Glenn Ordway drops from back in the day. There's just a smorgasbord effect.
No, and I think that he also lightens the mood. He definitely has having him around causes more laughter in the room. The drops, he's self-deprecating. It sort of works out in that regard, so I get it in that way.
6 out of 10. I give Pete today. And I give Mutt. What did Kirk say? D-? So I'll give him a D-.
Some real disagreement in here. I go 5 out of 10. You go 6 out of 10. We'll call it 5.5.
Yeah, let's slow down. I thought actually, from our point of view, bounce back performance. You ready to pat ourselves in the back here today?
I thought today's show went well. I think hearty stick tap to Aaron for getting that that stretch run sound with Jimmy Murphy and Pete Sheppard. I thought that was a good rejoin we had, and I thought in general. You were nervous, and I agreed. The first segment, we're blowing our whole load here in the first 10 minutes. We had Amani. We had
Gino Auriemma.
We had all that stuff going.
Sports Center at 6. We
had Jamel and Michael. So we had a bunch of sound. We were ready to go, and it definitely the Amani stuff I think saved the day in terms of the way we started. It was classic Amani, even for his standards.
He has 1 year left on his deal, and I just don't think that he would. I don't know if – so you're saying –
We did Amani twice, and yet again, and this is not critical in any way. We went to the greatest hits of Amani. You can always pull out greatest hits of Amani, which we played 3 or 4 of the all-time best. We didn't get to the special teams as a third of the game. I had that one ready to go.
Oh,
but
I love that
I
one.
couldn't wedge it in.
Personal foul is my favorite.
Personal foul's great. Jerry loves the activism. But two solid candidates today. These are going to go in the all-time class.
Oh, man. Name a better undefeated team. We did a segment on this, right? Pete, Kirk, and Mutt, in about 20 seconds, had 10 examples of better streaks or better records than the UConn women. Here's Amani Toomer sitting there, prepared. I'm sure his producer said, we're doing this segment coming up. He's the one who said it wasn't that good of a streak. Schwartzman asks him to provide a better one, and we have 15 seconds of dead air before we come up with a team that didn't even go undefeated.
It's unprecedented, but it's not a competitive sport. It's not a deep field.
So what are you taking?
I would take I think the 18-0 the 18-0 Patriots.
You're more impressed by that?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that segment as an aside. The 8 o'clock segment, it was kind of just shitting on Mutt and his UConn women's Huskies. Husky women, some would say. But, fine, just goofing around and finding, better streaks. It was light, and before Ziegler, it was a good just kind of diversion. I liked 8 o'clock sharp.
Well, and it's also something that this show does well, which is goes against the conventional wisdom. So you have everybody in the country's waking up this morning. Our friend Richard Deitch, others. Greeny and Golick. This was awesome. No, it was even awesomer. No, it was really cool. Like, everybody's sitting there trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
Gino's the greatest. Steve Levy asking for a fucking autograph. You have all of that going on. And I think the way Kirk views things is, well, let's look at this. Is it really that good? And I think it bothers some people, which is good. We got some calls, some reaction to it, and it was a good segment.
We also had a diversion for headlines where we talked nothing but, in Dino's honor, cargo shorts. Yes or no? Kirk's right. That could have been an hour in the Dino days, but that was fun, too.
An hour? That could have been 2 weeks.
That could have been the whole show. Yeah, 2 weeks.
No, that was good, and that's always funny because I think Kirk is on this page or on this side that the calls don't matter, but it's a proof that if you bring up anything and you ask for calls, they're there. Yeah. But we got a ton of reaction for the cargo shorts.
The bulk of the show, though, from a sports standpoint, and if you were going to list topics, one on down the line, and actually the first segment was very chaotic because I think Kirk was maybe feeling for what was going to be the hottest thing of the day, or didn't want to necessarily jump into this straight out of the gate, wanted to get it light and sort of ease into it, was the Chris Gasper column, the White House, Patriots players going, not going. We had some Brady sound to support it. We had Ordway, OMF talking about it yesterday to support it as well. We probably did, an hour collectively in the 6 and the 9 o'clock hour talking about this. That was the bell cow topic today.
Absolutely, and I said this to Kirk after the show, this was a Jerry story. I mean, this was the Globe, calm, Brady, ripping Trump. I mean, it was a perfect storm, Jerry's story. But it was great. I thought the guys, really got into it well. Sadly, Gasper couldn't join us. I think he would have been good on it. But I thought it was a swing and a miss by Gasper, big time. I mean, you're saying there's consequences to these actions and that, that these decisions and these relationships have consequences. How? Everybody if you watch, when you get to it, the sound effects or any of the
slow down. I haven't seen the game yet.
Right. This summer, when you get to when the DVD comes out.
Training camp is somewhat abide my time.
You and Rear can watch it before Saturday skate one day. The Garrett Blunt, Martellus Bennett, Devin McCourty, all these guys that are vocal.
Conscientious objectors?
Yes, vocal people who are not going to the White House because of disagreements with President Trump are somehow all on the sidelines saying in unison, we're in this because we have Tom Brady. He's our leader. I mean, those words are verbatim said during this game on the sideline.
After the pick?
It was the whole second half. They're saying, we got Brady. We got Brady.
Only when times were good, though.
Right. On the first half, they were doing drawings of him in a KKK outfit, which was fucking weird. But no.
Belichick had that white hoodie on. That was...
Oh, man. No, they were. It was actually a Jimmy chant in the first half. They wanted Garoppolo in the game. No, but they had... All this is happening, and you're reading Gasper where he says these actions and relationships have consequences. Mm-hmm. So where do those come up? Wouldn't that be you're down 25 points in the second half of the Super Bowl with 100 million people watching?
Well, Lincoln is still in uproar.
Right. I mean, outside of throwing the 7-layer dip in Lincoln, who cares?
Well, Gasper he's not permitted to come on our show. Is that correct?
He says he can't. I don't know. We've had Shaughnessy on before. I don't think Gasper would lose any job. But
Shaughnessy is exclusive tonight.
So is Gasper. I mean, he's paid to do the pregame
okay.
show there. He does Felger or whatever else. So
even though we are conglomerating or in the process.
Well, when he said he couldn't, I was respectful. I said, well, you tell your clients that we'd love to have them here. Yeah. Our culture is welcoming.
We're classy.
And we're classy.
Yeah, we really are. Not only that, we're progressive. So
most progressive show in the market.
We are. Now, how about down in Fort Myers? Because we've kind of we've had Shaughnessy on in the past, right? And some different.
Shaughnessy did the podcast with Kirk down there.
That's right, yeah.
And I talked to Gasper about that today. I asked if he's down there next week. Sadly, he's not. He's not back. He's not in Fort Myers till the end of the month. But
Buckley will be there. He's still answering the question Kirk asked him last night.
Let's get. What does Buck think about Pablo?
And are you buying into what's happening here? What do you say, Buck?
I got to see him in the field.
I don't see it happen.
You get every right to believe that.
Why not during the season?
Because.
Oh, we just heard it. Good. God, that was uncomfortable. I felt for Kirk. I don't know who Kirk's TV producer is.
Brutal.
He always says they're better than me. I'm sure they are. But whoever that was last night, first of all, you're starting Red Sox. You're going to Buckley, and there's a delay. I mean, I thought Minahan was going to explode.
No kidding. I'm watching it on the DVR. It's like 7:30 last night, and I got Maya in the arms. She's asleep. And the baseball talk comes on first, and I'm like, all right, this might be good because, as you know, I'm a good baseball honk.
Love it.
You know, Yawkey Way was in turmoil with all the exodus going on here this offseason, and they get into
statistician is on his way out.
God, they got into it, and I started to fall asleep, like right on top of my young child, and I'm thinking, if they can't pull me in, this is not a good look for Arbella.
I was stunned. I'm watching it live last night, and I'm like, they're going to Buckley. You know, Tangway has this long monotone thing, and about
you have a reservation at Twin Peaks or what? They had to get there by
I
7.
know, why could you tape that before and then play it whenever in the D block?
Jesus.
But yeah, no, that was a rough spot for Buck on the Comcast show.
That was.
But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe Shaughnessy will come on. I'm definitely going to ask anybody down there that that's around. Usually it's a little bit more flexible because they're away from the station and their bosses, and also. I don't know. I mean, I can't believe the Sports Hub EEI thing is really that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, although it's not a done deal yet, I suppose. The transition is still in process. Nobody seems to have any concrete answers as to what's going to happen.
And the only way you can guarantee changes is by changing how hard you're working during the time between the merger and when we fully start up.
That's good motivation.
Yeah, I read that in an email.
Now, that's next week. We're looking too far ahead. Let's be where our feet are, Chris. We almost had Reamer in today.
Yes.
We called an audible, though. We didn't want to. The ambush was called off.
Yeah, so early on in the show, Pete made some comment basically saying he read something that Reamer wrote yesterday and he liked it.
Yeah, he was what happened to the Muppet?
So, Jesus, that's probably why I'm rating him a 5 today, because I was expecting, last week he lost his fucking mind. He's calling him a Muppet.
Do you think somebody from corporate spoke to him?
I don't know.
Management? Tone it down, like Reamer's...
Corporate Sheppard
is WEI.com?
Yes, maybe. I mean, Reamer is powerful.
He's gaining power.
Pete was very proud of himself that about 3 weeks later, you're going to watch a Super Bowl 3 weeks later, and he just found out that Reamer wasn't in Houston. So
he really was proud of himself, wasn't he?
Stick tap to him. He really did. He's like, oh, I got it. Next week, he's going to talk about the Tooth Fairy.
For those who aren't aware, they had played a trick on Pete a couple weeks ago that Alex was going to the Super Bowl to represent WEI.com, and it's in place of other fine weekend programming. Mutt wasn't going, for instance.
Well, and the host of NFL Sunday, Pete Sheppard, wasn't going.
Naturally, who still has no lead-in.
Who he wanted a hotel last night, didn't get that either. He's really striking out.
We should have told Pete they do get a lead-in on our 103.7, our sister station in Providence. Don Darrow has his own morning show leading into Pete Sheppard's Sunday mornings.
Yeah, we got to get sound of that.
So strike that for the record, Pete. You got a terrific lead-in. But yeah, Pete was in on the joke today. Pete also had a running nose. I went in about a half hour, but Pete's always in the studio half an hour before it starts.
Oh, he's here, ready to go, man.
So I went in to drop Kirk's reeds off. I was, pile him up on his chair, and I see a pile of tissues there. And it is just a faucet coming out of his nose, and he's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry in advance. I can't kick this cold. I'm fine. I feel fine, but it just won't stop running. And so The entire show, he's like dabbing the nostrils, one left, one right.
And Kirk's face was in such disgust and contempt. It was like, you disgusting thing in my studio.
Which can happen to everybody. Like, for instance, when you guys were at the Super Bowl, fucking Patty O brought the dog in the night before.
Oh, jeez.
I have dog allergies, and man, was it a rough day for me.
But what? Why? Well, was
I don't know why the dog was there, but there was dog hair literally in the production studio, in the producer studio. There's all this hair like all over the console, and I'm like, what is this? Then the violent sneezing started, and it was like Jet was trying to prop me up with a stick, by the time the show was over.
Yeah, but so it was, generally speaking,
courage on my part to get through it, I must say.
Dan Rather would say.
Yeah.
Courage.
But generally speaking, over the course of the show, maybe once or twice, Kirk or Mut will pop into our control room.
Yeah, Mut came in a few...
Mut was in there. He was basically taking up residence in there. He was wanting to be as far away from Pete as possible.
Well, his kids are sick, so...
I know, he's like, they got conjunctivitis or something.
Yeah.
God, and you got a newborn.
Yeah, first pediatrician's visit today, so hopefully that goes well.
Jeez. I don't want to be sick in Florida. I know you have more important things, but I don't want to be sick in Florida.
Yeah, I feel for you.
Yeah.
Second trip in a month on the company died. Oh, on your dad's points. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's true. Anyway.
I got to say, I can't be mad at you. Chris Curtis brought me in a terrific gift. Not just me, Maya, my wife.
D.
You want to describe what I'm holding here?
A little pumpkin bread from Casa de Curtis.
And homemade by just you? Just your hands?
Just my hands.
Did you wash those hands before you...
No, I didn't. I actually hugged Pete before.
Hugged Lauro, our associate producer.
Why does he always, idle right behind you? We work with this guy, nice enough guy, whatever. And he always waits for you to be leaving to then walk behind you, so you have to do the awkward hello.
Lauro's the best. Lauro's been here for...
I think 30 years.
I think, yes, they built the building around Lauro.
But, so tomorrow Reamer's in.
Yeah.
And we have this ESPN social media story.
Yeah, our friend Jim Brady.
Yes.
Who you've contacted was not a pleasant back and forth.
He doesn't like the show, doesn't like me very much, and doesn't like New England fans in general, which is, seems to be in sort of what people at ESPN do with his employer. Most people at that company are not big fans of Boston sports fans.
What's his official title, Jim Brady?
The public editor.
Okay.
And so my job this afternoon is to seek out as many ESPN employees and ask them to come on the show tomorrow. I have a pretty good idea what the answer will be, which will be no every time, but we want to have them on the record that they've declined to join us. And if they say yes, great, we'd love to have them, and discuss the social media policy of ESPN and how that impacts the coverage of the network. So,
do you expect anybody to accept?
No, and Jim...
I mean, El Hassan, perhaps? Is that a change of heart now that the Celtics are 2 games back of the Cavs?
I mean, I'm going to tell him it's by phone so he doesn't have to actually walk into the city because I don't want any record scratching.
Right.
So that might be a way to get him on. But I've been told in some meetings recently that they don't like it when the behind-the-scenes people are called out. So I guess I can't really...
Oh, low-hanging fruit?
Like the PR people there get sensitive.
So Jim Brady in particular.
But Jim Brady's not PR. He's public. But the
I don't even know what that means, public editor. What
like the ombudsman.
It is the ombudsman, or it's like the ombudsman?
His title is public editor.
What does that mean?
I think it's... Well, he was the ombudsman. Like, he writes about ESPN's coverage of stories. But he's paid by Disney. He's, an employee.
Why don't they just call him the ombudsman?
Maybe the PC word, because it says man. Maybe they want to say public editor.
Public editor sounds better.
Yeah, it could be a female. It's not an ombudsman.
Oh, okay. Fine. So Brady is fair.
So game. Brady, he tweeted about the show a couple months or a month or two, whenever we were doing all this.
Yeah, he was tweeting at Twitter eggs like Dino.
He was flipping out. It would fare thee well to stop complaining. Your team wins.
Oh, we didn't get Dino's Grammy reaction yet.
Oh,
we've got to work on that.
He's flipping out. I mean, talking
Dino's
about
hot about the Grammys
and the producer. He's ripping the producer of the Grammys.
He and His and Hers, the Sports Center at 6, was kind of similar angst over the Grammys. Jamel wasn't feeling it. Neither was Dino.
Oh, God. That show, so the show's down 7%. Sports Center, the SC at 6, Jamel and Michael.
Jesus, in the debut week?
The debut week, it's down year-to-year 7%.
They had Ice Cube on yesterday.
So you have this SC at 6, has the most insane ad campaign you've ever seen. I mean, you literally could turn on your toaster and hear about this thing.
See, I like this when Curtis is craving a soundbite and he works it in there during the post-show podcast.
Because you can turn on your toaster and see this story.
And then you have the, whatever you want to call it, the most insane, craziest, best Super Bowl of all time, the night before the show launches on February 6th, and it's down 7% year to year.
And they came on Dale and Holly to promote it.
Jesus, forgot that. Right. They should be up 70%. So, I don't know. I think ESPN, the failures of ESPN are in some ways mirroring the failures of the left in the last election, that they're listening to the coast, ignoring middle America.
What tone do you expect Reamer to take the show tomorrow? Do you think we'll go literally is unpredictable. We could go Mike Flynn politics, the Trump down the Jerry angle, or does he just go there because Jerry's in and takes him that way?
I don't think we're going to go that way because Jerry's not here.
Obviously, we'll touch on the ESPN stuff. That's a given.
We'll definitely touch on the ESPN stuff. With Reamer these days, he's becoming more and more unpredictable. Last week, he was supporting drug-dealing dads. The week before, he wasn't on, but the week before that, I think he said something about, I don't know.
Well, he's a racist tea week.
And Mattapan, the tea doesn't go to.
Yeah, we've had a string of.
There's no hospitals in black neighborhoods.
Reamer memorability, yeah.
So.
Well, he was at the Super Bowl parade, right? Where was
he?
Oh,
yeah, I saw him. We went to the parade together. It was great. We tried to get some sound from listeners, and they were not really with it. So it was kind of a wasted effort. But he was there. He wrote about Jerry Remy yesterday. I bet you we'll talk about Remy. He likes the sports media stuff. And I'm sure he'll have some take about Trump in the White House. And I bet you he agrees with Gasper. So that'll be interesting.
Have we ever had Reamer and Mut on together?
Not that I'm aware of.
I think Mut did rank him a little lower on his power rankings, didn't he?
Oh, maybe we get a little power rankings. Mut and Reamer are the most into it. And
redo the casting couch power rankings?
I like that. Nice little Wednesday, hump day, John's favorite show. Dino loves hump days.
Okay. We have to get a hold of Mut then and tell him to get to work. Because he is the official ombudsman of the rank.
Well, Mut was complaining about all the work he has to do for his family to get in on the morning show.
That's true.
So
grandparents involved.
I'll try and reach him, but he's picking up his son, doing that. He hasn't gotten a card yet for his wife, so he's just trying to run.
At least he didn't beg you for a hotel like Pete did yesterday.
God, Pete's asking me for a hotel. So I don't know what to do, because I don't want to go to Zarbano and waste his time and be like, Pete wants it, but I also don't want to tell Pete that I asked Joey and he said no, and then Pete goes to Joey and says, Joey says, what the fuck is he talking about? So I'm kind of in a catch-22. So I'm like, Pete, I don't think you're going to get a room. Okay, it's not snowing.
Why did he want one?
So in Pete's head, Mut had a room the last time he was in, and he worked the night show.
Oh, so if you worked the night show.
So he thought it was the night show, and I told him it's because it snowed.
Right.
That's why. It had nothing to do with Mut living far away and working the night show.
What did you say to that?
Yeah, okay, but can you just ask? So I send Joey a text. I'm like, hey, Pete wants a hotel room. I know the answer is no, but I don't want you to be blindsided in case he asks you. And he responds with, is it going to fucking snow tomorrow? So anyway, that was Pete yesterday, being a little diva, looking for a hotel room.
Wait till we finish the transaction with CBS Radio. Will you, Pete? Well, then cash will start to flow in a little more readily.
Pete will have his own wing.
A little strapped by now. All right, look forward to it. Also, we should note, taping of the Glenn Ordway Enough About Me podcast with, of course, Kirk Minahan later today. That won't drop until Thursday, right? So we won't necessarily have that tomorrow, but maybe a foreshadowing. Maybe Kirk will give us a couple bits.
And I was heard executive producer Ben Kitchen and Kirk talking about this. This may be a two-parter. Might go a while.
I mean, he said that about Holly, and he did.
Well, I think they learned from Holly that maybe that they will do. They would chop this, so it might be part one on Thursday, a la Peter King and Tom Brady.
Yeah,
and Peter King will join the guys tomorrow at 9:05 on little Garoppolo talk, I'm sure, and his conversation with Brady.
First Peter King appearance since the Christmas Day Kirk show, or when was he on with Kirk?
Oh, that was Labor Day.
Oh, Labor Day.
Yes, when Minahan just lost his mind.
Yeah, that was great.
It was Memorial Day or Labor Day, one of those two.
Some holiday.
Some holiday.
Where it was before Kirk was the first name in the show, and he had to work holidays,
Well, funny, he was doing the Ordway shift.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. All right, good. So he'll be on at 9:05. We are hoping for ESPN personalities if they accept, but don't count on it. Otherwise, we'll all be wearing cargo shorts, and we'll be here bright and early tomorrow.
Sounds good.